And welcome back, guys. Welcome right here to Cape Town TV. This is still Access, still the awesome show coming at you live, right here between 4 and 5. Of course, myself, Mr. Mayor, Mel, we still having a good time?
Man, het is lekker aan die brand hier so.
Yes, indeed. Of course, this part of the show is called Classes in Session. If you guys didn't get the memo, Classes in Session is all about education. And we know education is very important for all of us. I mean, it's what we need on a daily basis to go forward in life. So, well, all about education. And to waste no further time, I think we're going to jump into some of the educational news.
For a very beautiful lady in studio today, we'll be sharing a bit of those educational news and information with us. Welcome to XC. Could you please just introduce yourselves?
Good afternoon. It's great to be here. My name is Melanie Burke, and I'm with an organization called Symphonia for South Africa, and we run a program called Partners for Possibility in Schools.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, so let's jump straight into it. First, tell us a little bit about what Partners for Possibility is, and tell us about the NPO. I mean, how did it start? Just give us the whole genesis of Partners for Possibility.
It was really an amazing experience and a journey, this process of leading transformation in education. And what Partners for Possibility does is it brings together business leaders and school principals in a partnership. It's both a leadership development program as well as a principal support process. And so where it really came from was that we discovered that business leaders, on average in South Africa and around the world, are afforded about 10 days on average of management and leadership development training. Our principals are often incredibly good teachers who are promoted into the role of leadership and become principals without the underlying support and training that's required to lead a huge organization, which is what a school is. And so our research has shown us that a school is the largest unit of change in any community. And so the outcome of the Partners for Possibility program is to bring together this business leader and the school leader in this learning experience in the real world, in places where, just being the guy who's got the title of principal or business leader doesn't mean that things will happen according to your plan.
Of course.
There are all sorts of other interesting and unusual things that can happen in communities that often our business leaders are not aware of. And so we have decided that part of how we are able as active citizens to contribute to education in our country is through this process. Because actually, when you're sitting behind your desk as a business leader, you are so unaware of what's really happening in our communities and on the ground. And so our big goal is that by 2025, we wanted to have worked with 20,000 of the schools in South Africa. If you know the numbers, there are 24,000 schools in this country. 20,000 of those schools are underperforming and under-resourced.
Wow.
And that's not useful. You're young people, you know that our future is dependent on the educational outcomes we have in this country. And so that's really for us the big push, and the way we are contributing to leading change in education is through this Partners for Possibility program.
Super cool, man. Tell me, when were you guys established?
So this program started in around 2010. The first, what I would call the pilot process happened. You have to
test it first,
in the real world, you don't just step into something, especially something where you're not
familiar,
an expert.
Yeah,
we're not educationalists. I come from banking and IT.
Wow.
The founder of this organization is a woman called Dr. Louise van Rijn, who spent a lot of her time doing leadership development in business. And came back to South Africa as what we call a homecomer, and she wanted to come and contribute back here. And then discovered this concept I talked about, that our principals aren't capacitated to lead change. And so that was what she felt called to do. And she wanted to find a way that we can get active citizens contributing to the future of our country. And that's how this started. And so 2010 was the first group. And I'm very happy to let you know that I'm from that first group. So I'm sitting here.
Making history. Yes, making history.
And still in relationship with my principal and my school, which happens to be
so cool.
in Vrygrond in Cape Town.
Lovely, man.
So listen, I know just also with regards to what you were telling about by 2025, I mean, you plan to do all these changes and bring quality education to some more of these schools. So, I mean, for some of our viewers right now, where's the education? What is the state of the education right now?
Well, as I said to you, we have, out of the 24,000 schools, 20,000 schools are underperforming. And you all know that our education budget is one of the biggest in the world, and yet we're not seeing the outcome. And it's become so important that education departments are wanting to work with us now. They've seen the impact of the program. So, as I said, we're in our sort of fourth year of doing this. We are in more than 400 schools. In case, for example, of those of us who have been on this program before, we are still in our relationships with our principals. So this thing continues. It becomes a partnership almost for life.
Wow.
And although the requirement changes, we are still able to contribute as the
Yes.
nature of the community and the school changes as well.
Okay, awesome. Tell me, do you think it will be possible to bring your vision to life by 2025?
It's
for
already
example?
happening.
Lovely.
It's
I love that
already
positivity. Huh? Stunning.
Well, and I think each of us can play a role. One often wonders, when we first started this program, our parents in our communities thought, well, what can they contribute? Some of them weren't educated, some of them weren't even employed. But we discovered that they'd never actually received an invitation to participate in their child's
True.
education. You take the child to school and it's the principal and the teacher's job to
Done.
do that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that story came from, but it seems to be that
It's a thing,
That
like
was
it
the
was
cycle
written
all the way.
somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I've been out of school 30 years, but I remember when I grew up in school, it was a community thing. It took a village to raise a child. The principal was a big man in the community, and we discover now that that's no longer so. And so when we engaged with parents, we discovered that parents wanted to, they just didn't know they could, and they hadn't been invited. So part of the Partners of Possibility program is to send those invitations to
involved.
get people engaged, and just to be able to have this outcome that says, firstly, it starts with leadership.
Yeah.
Our principal is the main O in
Yeah.
EXED terms. Principal is the main guy. Leadership development is important. He is leading a large-scale change program. That's what he's required to do.
Yeah.
So how do we get him to be energized and equipped to do his job? Very simple thing, and that's what Partners for Possibility does.
Sure.
The second thing that we do is we work with the school leadership team. So that we get them aligned, we get them to understand actually their job is to educate the children, but they don't do it alone. There are other people who can support them. Then we get the community and the parents involved in the education of that school, and that's how that school becomes the center of that community.
Sure.
Because we have gifts in our communities, we have resources in our communities, but if we don't invite people to participate, how are they going to bring what they have?
Exactly.
And just because we are under-resourced does not mean that we are poor.
Lovely.
And that really is part of what we do. When you see the principals, having come through the program, and you see the confidence that comes back, they start almost on this program a little bit reticent. They're so used to being shouted at because they haven't done their job.
Yeah.
And when they start to become, as they build their
That confidence.
They now
Yes.
stand tall.
Man.
and they remember themselves, and that is what you need to get the job
True.
done, because the teachers then come along, the school governing body comes along.
The ripple effect of it is just brilliant.
People
Yeah.
down the road, the auntie down the road is saying, so what's happening in that school?
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to go and
I
find
wanna-
out.
yes.
And even simple things like involving the parents, how do you do some education stuff with your children? When you're busy preparing supper, ask your child to help count out the tomatoes or the onions or the potatoes or the carrots. It's maths. It's just a
Exactly.
different version
And it's
of maths.
multitasking.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, now I want you to just take us through some of the processes or some of the things that you do with Partners for Possibility at the schools.
Well, one of the things that really excites me is that we have a network of principals and other leadership members of schools that come together every 6 weeks. We do that both in Johannesburg and Cape Town. And this is a leadership forum, a school leadership forum
Yeah.
that is supported by my school as the sponsor of this program. It gives us the opportunity to come together. And the principals drive this. They say to us, these are the kinds of things that we want to know about more.
Awesome.
And we get together on a 6-week basis, and literally these are lectures, these are workshops, these are opportunities for them as a community of principals and educators to come together and share best practices. Because something in Mannenberg that might work might be very useful for somebody else
For
in
sure.
another school.
Yeah.
For sure. Oh man, thank you so much for sharing this valuable information. I'm surely that we are educated.
I'm educated.
I'm totally educated. Thank you so much for joining us here on XC, and all of the best with what you guys are doing.
Absolute pleasure.
Awesome
Thank you
stuff.
very much.
Great stuff.
All
We're
right.
taking a quick ad break. Don't go anywhere. You're still tuned into XC, channel 263.
Keep it locked. Catch you guys after this.